Welcome back to FlashTales. Today we are diving into what is arguably the single biggest, most divisive, and most fascinating character theory in the entire Grand Theft Auto 6 community. The idea that one of our main protagonists isn't who he seems to be. The theory is simple, but its implications are massive. What if Jason Duval is an undercover cop? On the surface, he's presented as a man who grew up around criminals and is now working for drug runners in the Keys. He and Lucia form a modern-day Bonnie and Clyde, a criminal couple taking on the world of Vice City. But underneath that surface, certain details from the information we have, both from leaks and official descriptions, have led to a compelling theory that Jason is actually a law enforcement agent, a cop, or even a federal agent sent to infiltrate a major criminal network with Lucia as his way in. This theory recontextualizes everything we think we know about him: his calm demeanor during heists, his past in a disciplined military unit, and his relationship with Lucia are all cast in a new, more sinister light. Is he a loyal partner, or is he a mole playing the most dangerous role of his life? In this deep dive, we're going to break down all the evidence for and against this massive theory to see if it holds up. So let's break down the mountain of evidence that supports what is arguably Grand Theft Auto 6's biggest theory. When you start connecting the dots from community discussions, official information, and the leaks themselves, a surprisingly convincing case for Jason being an undercover agent begins to form. One, the perfect cover: his military background. The cornerstone of the entire theory is Jason's official backstory. We know he had a stint in the Army. This is the perfect background for a deep cover agent. It provides a legitimate reason for his proficiency with firearms, tactical awareness, and his ability to stay calm under fire. It's a ready-made explanation for why a seemingly ordinary guy from the Keys can handle himself in a high-stakes shootout. It's not just a backstory, it's the perfect cover story. 2. The tools of the trade, his unique skills. The leaks suggest Jason has an eagle eye style ability, allowing him to identify key items like safes and security cameras. In the context of the theory, this isn't a video game power, it's a form of professional trained observation. It's a skill of an agent casing a location, profiling a scene for threats and objectives with a speed and precision that a common criminal wouldn't possess. This also extends to his connections. His friendship with a paranoid techie like Cal Hampton, who snoops on Coast Guard comms, suddenly looks less like a quirky friendship and more like a strategic relationship with an intelligence asset. 3. The language of an operative. A major point of analysis in the community is Jason's language during heists. In the diner robbery, while Lucia is more aggressive and direct, some of Jason's lines like "let's get out clean, baby, come on," sound less like a panicked criminal and more like an operative focused on a clean extraction. His calm, almost instructional tone in some clips is often highlighted by fans as being out of place for a simple crook and more in line with someone who has been trained for these exact situations. 4. The narrative twist, a modern Bonnie and Clyde betrayal. From a storytelling perspective, this twist is incredibly compelling. The Bonnie and Clyde dynamic is central to the game's identity. The most powerful subversion of that classic outlaw romance would be for one partner to be a secret agent for the very system they are fighting against. It creates a tragic, dramatic irony where Lucia sees Jason as her way out, while he may be leading her directly into a trap. This potential for a devastating betrayal is what makes the theory so popular and narratively satisfying. So the evidence for Jason being a Fed is compelling, but to make this a true deep dive, we have to look at the other side. The theory is far from airtight, and there are major pieces of information that point to Jason being exactly who he seems to be. The single biggest piece of evidence against the undercover theory is his own officially described backstory. We are told that he grew up around grifters and crooks. This isn't just a minor detail, it suggests that a criminal worldview is part of his fundamental identity, ingrained in him since childhood. It makes a turn towards a career in law enforcement, even for a deep cover role, seem incredibly unlikely. His desire for an easy life sounds less like the goal of a focused operative and more like the weary complaint of someone who has been fighting to get by his whole life. Furthermore, his time in the Army can be viewed through a completely different lens. Instead of seeing it as training for a mission, his biography states it was an attempt to shake off his troubled teens. This paints a picture of a man trying to escape his criminal roots and failing, ultimately being pulled right back into the only life he knows, working for smugglers like Brian Heater in the Keys. keys. Finally, you have to consider the very identity of the Grand Theft Auto franchise. For over 2 decades, the series has been a power fantasy about rising through the criminal underworld and fighting the system, not being a secret part of it. While Rockstar loves to tell complex stories, making a main playable protagonist a secret agent of the law would be a radical departure from the core identity that has defined the games for years. So, with compelling evidence on both sides, the question remains, is Jason a cop or a crook? The truth is, the information we have is so perfectly balanced that the community remains passionately divided, and that is likely by design. Ultimately, the answer to this question defines the entire story of Grand Theft Auto 6, creating 2 vastly different narrative paths. If Jason is truly an undercover agent, then the game becomes a tragedy. It's a story about a man whose mission is compromised by his feelings for his target, Lucia. Every heist you pull off isn't a step towards building an empire, but a step deeper into a lie. The central conflict wouldn't be about money, it would be about loyalty, a choice between his duty and the person he has come to love, leading to an inevitable, devastating betrayal. But if he is not a cop, then the story is exactly what it appears to be, a true, modern Bonnie and Clyde saga. It becomes a story of 2 outcasts against the world fighting for their version of the good life. His promise of, if anything happens, I'm right behind you, is a genuine vow. And the central conflict is whether their partnership can survive the immense pressure of the criminal underworld and their own clashing personalities. Ultimately, this single question will hang over every moment of the game, making every choice more meaningful and every interaction more tense. We won't know the truth until the very end, but the fact that this debate can even exist proves that Rockstar is crafting a story with incredible depth and the potential for one of the most unforgettable twists in gaming history.